Welcome to the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Bangura, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me today. This podcast is for ambitious women who work in property and construction, who want to learn how to have a career they love on their terms. Join me every week where I'll leave you excited and confident to take your next steps. Thanks for being here with me. Now let's get started. Hello, thank you for being here. Today we are talking about how to be a female leader in the property and construction industry. And before we get started, I want to just acknowledge you for being here, because it's really easy to say that we want more for our careers and that we want to step up and be a leader in our industry. And it's another thing to show up and do the work, because in order to become a leader, we have to invest in ourselves. We have to be willing to grow and develop our skills and our knowledge and our self-awareness so that we can deliver well in those leadership positions. And so I just wanted to acknowledge you. I see you. I appreciate you being here and being on this journey with me so that you can be that confident and impactful leader that we need in our industries. So I just wanted to give you a little shout out before we got into things. And this topic of women in leadership in the property sector, in the construction industry, is so important and it's so close to my heart. You may or may not know that before becoming a leadership coach, I spent almost 2 decades working in property and construction as a project manager, as a property development manager, and I have seen firsthand what it is like to work in an environment where you are surrounded by men and where there are so few women in leadership to actually look up to and seek guidance from and have as role models. And I think that's why it's so important, the work that you're doing and the work that I'm doing, to really support that growth, to really provide examples of what women can do in our industry, because everyone will benefit from having more genuine diversity within our industries. The data proves it time and time again that more diverse thinking actually leads to improved organisational performance and results. But particularly in the construction sector and in the property industry, we have a culture of toxic masculinity and a well-established boys' club, and it's not healthy. It isn't healthy for anyone. And so when I decided to step into leadership coaching, I was very clear that I wanted to work with women in male-dominated industries and specifically property and construction, so that we can have more diversity, we can have more options for women, and we can finally see more women having the amazing impact that they are capable of in our industries, not only at the ground level, but right the way through our management teams and our executive leadership teams. So I'm passionate about seeing women represented at all levels of leadership. And I think when we look at the construction industry, women only make up about 15% of that industry. And when we look at senior leadership and executive positions, women make up less than 10%. In the property side of things, the numbers are better, right? We have more than 50% female participation. But when we look at leadership roles, we are still only seeing women representing 15% of those positions. So the numbers don't stack up. And this really highlights the systemic challenges we have in our industry. It also highlights the leaky pipeline we have, where even when we can attract and recruit women into the property industry, we aren't effective at retaining and developing those women into those more senior roles. And as I said, some of this is systemic, and a lot of this change needs to be driven at an organizational level. And I'm pleased to see that so many companies are taking a really active role in doing this, and many organizations are taking a really active role to look at this challenge and address it and take proactive steps to create more support for development of women and more opportunities for women more broadly. But today I wanted to give you some practical strategies to help you as an individual really step up and own your career and set the foundation for yourself to be a leader in the property and construction industry. Now, before we go into those strategies, I want to call one important thing out. Now, leadership is not about a title. You can be a leader at any level of your organization, at any stage of your career, and I really encourage you to take on that leader mindset, because good leaders, they take people on the journey. They are clear on what they are trying to achieve and they keep working forwards. They take on feedback and they are committed to creating results. And you can take on that ethos and that mindset where you are right now. And I strongly encourage you to do that, because I think when we make that decision for ourselves, we start to live into that. We start to show up as that person. And from that, the opportunities will actually flow to you. So make that decision for yourself right now that you are going to show up as a leader in your industry, in your organization, irrespective of your role or your position right now. Okay, so into the strategies. Now, the first one is to be visible. And what I mean by that is you need to be willing to take up space. You need to have an opinion on things. You need to be willing to show up and speak up and be seen by people in your organization and in your industry. You cannot be a leader if you are hiding. You need to be willing to take center stage and put your hand up and be active and engaged. And there are lots of ways we can do this. The first is to become conscious and intentional about your personal brand and really put thought and effort into how you show up differently to others in your field. And I have a separate podcast episode on personal brand, so we won't get too bogged into that right now. You can go and listen to that. I'll link in the show notes for you. But a personal brand is really important because it defines who you are. It lets people know what you're all about, and it ties closely to your reputation. So think about your personal brand. Also think about actively participating. Where can you show up? Whether it's industry events, speaking on panels, writing articles, being active on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter where. The how and the where will be unique for you, but think about where you can share your ideas and your voice and your expertise, not only to raise your profile, but also to establish yourself as a thought leader in the field. Now, the second part is about building a strong network. And again, a professional network will support you to no end. It will give you career opportunities. It will be a place that you can seek advice and guidance. And whether it's through mentors or sponsors or industry associations, be really intentional and active about seeking out the people you want to be associated with and align yourself to them. And this will give you that sense of community, that sense of support. And this is particularly important to find other women who are doing similar things to you in the industry, whether they're a bit further along in their career journey or whether they're coming up behind you. The more we can actually create supportive communities, the easier it will be for all of us to continue to grow and elevate our individual and our collective position as women in the industry. Next, you want to really be intentional about building your skills and knowledge. So think about how can you not only acquire but develop your technical expertise, and how can you broaden your industry knowledge so that you have an awareness of insights, future trends, and future opportunities that apply to your field. Now, you can do this in a range of ways through formal certifications and qualifications, but also informal ways, reading, attending events, speaking to people, taking an active interest in things that matter to you and matter to your role and your industry, and then building and sharing that knowledge and information that you have as it's relevant to your role. I hope you've been enjoying the episode. I wanted to take a moment to let you know about my free Career Confidence Masterclass. This is for ambitious career-orientated women who are ready to stop playing small and to confidently create a career you love. Head over to my website, beautifuldisruptions.com, for more info. Now let's get back to the episode. And number 4 is about seeking out leadership opportunities. Now, this might be through an industry organisation or being part of a committee where you can take an active role in driving an agenda and outcomes. Or you might seek to actually drive an initiative that is close to your heart yourself, taking that ownership and driving that agenda forward. You might also put your hand up to lead projects or mentor other colleagues, because there are actually a lot of opportunities to step up and be a leader. But quite often we are so focused on where we are now and where we're going that we don't look sideways. We don't look at all the opportunities that are there if that is the path we want to pursue. So I want you to actually actively start thinking about how you can actually seek out those leadership opportunities that align with where you are and where you want to be. Now, number 5 is to really invest in your development. And this is about getting clear on the fundamental leadership skills you need, developing those. But it's also about building up the confidence so that you can actually go and deliver on those leadership skills and have the impact through your work and with your teams. And there are lots of ways you can do this, right? It can be through training programs or seeking out a coach or a specific mentor to guide you, or it could be through advanced degrees like an MBA. But think about where you are lacking and what are the skills you need to take that next formal leadership role, and then seek them out. And remember that with these skills, we are constantly building on them. Where you are now is not what you need for your next role. And the skills you have in your next role will need to develop and evolve for the next more senior position. And that is part of the process. But the sooner you can gain these fundamental leadership skills and get comfortable and confident to actually put yourself out there and share your message and share your ideas, the more solid your foundation is to keep building and improving as you go. Okay, I think we're up to number 6, and this is about challenging gender biases. Now, this is a big one in our industry, and we need to show up and speak up when we observe biased behaviour within the workplace. Because the role of advocating for gender diversity and equity, it does fall firmly on each of our shoulders. And turning a blind eye won't get us ahead. So you really need to be willing to speak up on these issues and drive change, whether it's through policies, whether it's through behaviour or specific initiatives. And to be honest, we need change in all of these ways to really embed a different culture and a different expectation in our industry. But we need to be willing to have these hard conversations. And I think how we do that will really depend on the circumstance and the environment that you're in. Sometimes it can be through a formal means, but often it's just about a conversation with someone. And I always find that quite often by approaching these things with a bit of grace and humility, we're able to create more change. We are able to have more open conversations in a trusting environment that will actually lead to the elimination of some of these biases or discriminatory behaviours in the future. So practice this and get comfortable having some of these uncomfortable conversations, and do it from a place of knowing that this next level of leadership, being part of the next wave of women leaders in our industry, we need to set a new expectation and really drive that agenda for diversity and equity and inclusion, and make sure that we and our peers are working in an environment that is psychologically safe for us, where we feel safe, where we can show up as ourselves and be seen without fear of harassment or being discriminated against. Which leads me to the final point, which is you need to be persistent and resilient, because there will be obstacles. There will be challenges and setbacks on your journey, and that is part of the journey. And it's true for anyone, but it can be particularly challenging as a woman who does not necessarily have the same support network or the same role models as our male counterparts. But developing that resilience and that persistence and seeking out support when you need it will help you overcome those obstacles and help you achieve your goals and allow you to keep showing up every day and doing the amazing work that you do and being that unique voice who is clear on her purpose and who's clear on what she's trying to achieve and the pathway to that, and is taking everyone on the journey. So don't let a bad day defeat you. Keep showing up, keep doing the work. And, so much of this is mental work, right? Being resilient and showing up and growing and keeping on. That is what it's all about. And we need women who are willing to weather the storm in order to get ahead so that we can get more women into management positions and then right through to senior leadership roles. So keep your eye on the prize and know that we need your voice. We need your unique perspective. So hang in there and know that there is a community of women who are cheering you on this journey, even if you don't know that they're there. And there's also some amazing men in our industry who are also cheering you on. But be willing to show up, be willing to invest in yourself and develop the skills and take up space. And the more you do this, the more visibility you have, the more influence and impact you have, then the more leadership opportunities will present themselves for you. So hang in there, my friend. We need your voice. We need your perspective. You have got this, my friend. Okay, till next episode, have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining me on the Building Up Women in Property podcast. If you'd like to learn more about what I do, head over to Instagram. I'm at Beautiful Disruptions, and reach out if you want to connect. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.